from now. But let me just quickly take you through some of the details that are basically emerging. One, the significance of the extradition itself. And how exactly has the government really secured this? Ladies and gentlemen, it was no easy task for the government to bring back Tahawwur Rana. Not to forget that during the UPA regime, David Coleman Headley was actually pardoned by the US government. In fact, it turns out that David Coleman Headley was a double agent. But how exactly did India really navigate this? And we have reached at a stage where you have Tahawwur Rana being dragged back. And the significance of this, I'm going to tell you in a short while from now. One, it was the pursuit of the 2611 plotter since Prime Minister Modi's second term. In fact, there were clear instructions that was given to the National Investigation Agency to immediately move the application for extradition. This was after Tahawwur Rana had completed his term and he was being let off on compassionate grounds by the US court. But this was on the very day that he was supposed to be released that India had already moved the extradition request. And that is the reason why many would say there was a clincher that we're really looking at. Let's move to the other. Formal extradition efforts started back in 2019, in December 2019. Let's take you through the other details coming in. All diplomatic channels were basically used to extradite Tahawwur Rana. In fact, the last meeting between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi ensured that the deal was done and a communication was made thereafter. Let's move to the others. India essentially gave foolproof documentation to United States. Let me just try and explain this to you. What do we really mean by foolproof evidence? That is essentially the email exchanges between Tahawwur Rana and David Coleman Headley. Apart from that, there were electronic evidence that was gathered first by the Mumbai police and thereafter by the National Investigation Agency. Now, India's evidence clincher on Tahawwur Rana in the US court, so much so that the US court in its order essentially observed that there was enough evidence that was provided by the Indian security agencies to extradite Tahawwur Rana, despite the double jeopardy argument that was put forth by the legal counsel of Tahawwur Rana. India's agencies were satisfied US concerns on the international standards, saying that this was after a criminal conspiracy. And this was not just a crime that was committed here in India, this was crime against humanity, is also the argument that was put forth. Let's take you through the others coming in. Now, there was also a video proof of Indian facilities that were shared with US courts. In fact, from the devices that were recovered from David Coleman Headley, there were pictures and coordinates of various locations in Mumbai and institutions that they basically wanted to target. These coordinates were thereafter given to Tahawwur Rana. In fact, they were also shared with the Lashkar-e-Toiba. And that's how the 2611 attack was masterminded by Tahawwur Rana and Lashkar-e-Toiba. Let's take you through the others. Trump first confirmed Rana's handover in 2020. This was during the Prime Minister's visit to the United States of America. That's when President Trump had confirmed that he had given the green signal for Tahawwur Rana's extradition. So this undoubtedly was a momentous occasion, given the fact that India's efforts gained momentum under Trump 2.0. This was the last visit that the Prime Minister made, and then a confirmation was actually given. During Prime Minister Modi's US visit, Trump basically confirmed the extradition in February 2025. Let's move on. These are the details of how exactly the Modi government basically pursued Tahawwur Rana and ensured that he's dragged back, and in moments from now, Tahawwur Rana would be taken to the National Investigation Agency's headquarters here in the national capital. So what's going to happen thereafter? Once he is taken out in an armored vehicle, because those preparations have already been undertaken, and thereafter, once he reaches the NIA headquarters, we're given to understand the first round of questioning is going to take place. We're not very sure whether at all he's going to be produced before the court even today, or that could happen sometime tomorrow or late evening through video conferencing. Let me just quickly now take you through some of the charges that Tahawwur Rana basically faces. In fact, the moment he lands here, he would be taken through the charges that were brought in. In fact, we were given to understand that this has already happened, but there's a clarification coming in that these charges haven't been read out to Tahawwur Rana. There are about 9 charges that we're talking about. First is criminal conspiracy, accused of conspiring with Headley. Let's move quickly. Let's move to charge number 2. That's committing terrorist attacks, provided logistical support to the Lashkar-e-Toiba. This was in consultation with David Coleman Headley, that Tahawwur Rana was providing the logistical support to LET. Charge number 3, helped them to carry out the 2008 attacks. Charge number, can we just move a little quickly, please? 166 people killed in the 26/11 attack, and that was charge number 3. Murder, 6 Americans were also killed in the attack. Let's move to charge number 4. That's providing fake documents, helped Headley obtain an Indian visa, that too for 5 years. Let's take you through the other charges. Used fraudulent documents for the visa, because remember, he was running an immigration service, and using that, the visa was given to him. Charge number 5, facilitating reconnaissance, that's helping Headley to carry out a recce in Taj Hotel. Not just Taj Hotel, there were several other locations also. There were several other coordinates that were also shared. Identified the hotspots for the blast, looking at particularly the impact that the blast would actually have. That was the consideration that they've had. Facilitating the reconnaissance. Let's move to the others. Now, these are the main charges. There are a few other charges that have also been invoked, but remember, those are not the ones that were considered by the US courts too.